Okay, well, welcome everybody. Let's take a moment. I've just got my folding chair, so it's always nicer when I put a blanket on it. So I'd like you to come and sit on your chair. We'll start by sitting. And sit so that your spine is tall and lifted. I do have a bolster here that I can help sit up tall. If you have pillows, you know, the nice thing is you've got lots of stuff around that you'll probably be able to figure out, hey, I can use that as a yoga prop. And you know what works great. I didn't say we needed blocks, but if you ever needed blocks and you didn't have them, you can always duct tape 3 or 4, I think it's about 3 videotapes together. It makes the right size for a block. Okay, so while you're sitting, spine's nice and tall, bring your hands to your thighs and you can turn them down or turn them up. And we'll just take a moment to center and connect to each other. So if you feel okay closing your eyes, close your eyes. If you're more comfortable keeping your eyes open, perhaps just let them kind of fall down. Your eyes or your head can bow forward just a little bit and you can gaze down instead of looking out and having your mind analyze everything it sees. Feet firmly planted on the ground. And let yourself settle. Let your body begin to settle here. So not holding yourself rigidly, but being here so that you can feel like you have a sense of grounding. You're connecting to the earth through your feet, through the floor. And then you can also feel a sense of your feet being connected to your legs, your ankles, and feel what your lower legs feel like. And then feel the connection of your lower legs as they join your upper legs at your knee joints. What do your knee joints feel like today in this moment? And then bring your awareness along your thighs and feel where your hands are resting. Maybe the backs of the hands are on the thighs or your palms are face down. You can do either one. What feels right at this point, at this moment? And then feel how your sit bones, the bottom points of the pelvis, are resting on whatever it is that you're resting on. And is there a cushion? Are you sinking? Or do you feel like you're actually sitting on your sit bones? Ischial tuberosities, they're called. We want to stand on the bones always, because that's what's going to give us the ability to lift. So the sit bones are kind of like the feet of the bum. And then feel how your spine is sitting. So if you trace down from the pelvis where you're sitting on your sit bones, the back, you probably have more awareness at the back or maybe underneath. The tailbone kind of tucks underneath you. And then the back of the pelvis is where the spine joins, which is the sacrum, that fused bones at the back in the middle of the pelvis. And then at the top of the pelvis or the top of the sacrum is the beginning of the lumbar curve. And it's really important that what we do in life moves us towards maintaining that lumbar curve. It's so important to the health of the whole body, not just this because we want to have a curve. It's because the body is meant to have a curve here, and it's meant to have a series of opposite curves that go up through the spine to be able to balance and move, and most importantly, to be able to breathe efficiently. So feel your low back moving inward. If it's not, get it to move in, adjust how you're sitting. And then as you wrap your awareness around to the front, notice what your belly feels like. Is there any tone in your body, in your belly, to hold you upright? I should back up. Not is there any, can you notice the tone in your belly? Because there is some. Because if you didn't have any tone, if you all of a sudden lost consciousness, you would probably slump over. So you have tone there because you're sitting. But can you notice it? Can you notice the subtle tone in the belly, in your abdomen? Perhaps you can also notice that there's movement in your belly. Inhale, it expands, and exhale, it's quietly drawing back in. So let it do that. Let it have its rest and let it have its contraction. Belly moves away from you on inhale. Also, pelvic floor releases downward on inhale. And then on the exhale, belly draws back in and the pelvic floor lifts up. It's totally okay if you don't feel this. We are practicing in order to awaken parts of the body and the mind to sleep for a while. That to me is the essence of what a yoga practice is. So now let's move a little bit higher into the middle part of the body where your rib cage is. And sitting, if you're sitting nice and tall with the spine, you might be able to feel movement of the rib cage. So the ribs move out to the side, and then they start to lift up in the direction of your armpits. Not all of them will move in the same amount, the same degree, but we want to experience a little bit of this action here of the rib cage moving out and then lifting up at the sides. And if you need to take a little bit deeper breath to find it, try that. We may have fallen into patterns of breathing that we believe on some level serve us. But again, part of this yoga practice is to reconnect with a way of breathing, a way of being that is more natural. And we don't have to think about to do. We let the body work as it was intended to, not with all of the compensations that is doing now in your life. Overuse, overworked muscles, joints. Let's come back to this feeling of expansion. And then we come a little bit higher and see if you feel or notice any movement in the top of the chest. The breath lifting the chest up. On inhale, and on exhale, quietly letting it rest back. Notice where your shoulders are in space and how your shoulders feel. I'm thinking of you, Debbie. Send some love to your shoulders right now, in particular your one that's frozen. Give it some love. And in fact, everybody, if you don't know Debbie, but just if you find it in your heart to send her some healing love to her shoulder, I'm sure she will receive it. Where you find space, where you are aware of space, is where you'll find the breath. So imagine space where you want the breath to go. And feel your arms all the way down from your shoulders down to your hands where they're resting. Feel the weight of your hands again on your legs. And then back up through your arms again to your shoulders, across your upper back this time. If you're anything like me, I've been on my computer a lot more lately than I have in the past. Or your devices. I've been on my phone and my computer, and I try to just shut off at night and on the weekends. I am feeling a lot of tension in between my shoulder blades, across the tops of my shoulders. Not just tension, but pain. So I'm going to imagine space here and invite the breath to travel there. So the difference between air and breath is that air is everywhere. It's a gas. It's a gas. And breath is what you feel inside the body. Again, we can direct it where we want it to go. We can have the feeling of breath in the body because the breath feeds the life energy into the cells of the body, flows through all of the 72,000 channels that are said to be energetic pathways in the body. And then continue to feel an awareness now up through your neck and your head. We'll kind of tag team do those together because I want you to feel whether your head is balanced on top of the spine, on top of the sit bones. Do you need to adjust your head in any way to get that to happen? Do you feel you have a bit of a back bend in your neck? Where the skull meets your cervical spine, the upper part of the spine, the neck, there is a sliding action of the skull forward. So if you have any kind of head forward posture because the upper back is a little bit more rounded and you've been looking at your computer or your devices a lot, we're going to have this little bit of a pinching and shearing action right at the base of the skull, and the chin will go forward and slightly up. So we want to do the opposite. Bring your awareness to the top of the throat, just below the chin, and draw that part of the neck back. So it's not the chin, it's that part of the neck. Draw it back and lift up at the back of the throat. What comes to mind is a beautiful swan's neck. The chest is lifted, the throat goes back and up, and the head balances right on top of the spine. So once we have that, let's just do a little bit of movement here. Again, still, if your eyes are closed, keep them closed. I'm going to invite you, without moving your shoulders, to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then come back up again. I'm just going to go from side to side. Really slow with the awareness of the breath. So the breath moves and the movement follows. We're really doing two things, bringing a little bit of lubrication to the joints, three things, blood flow to the muscles, but also noting what's my range of motion here. I suspect I'm doing this more for me than you. I hope you benefit from it too, though. Last one, on whichever side you want to finish on, back into the center, check that you still have that lift. And if you open your eyes just for a moment, one of the ways you can check to see whether your head's stacked where it needs to be stacked is take your two peace fingers, instead of spreading them apart, bring them together and come up to the back of your neck, right at the base of the skull. And you'll feel a little bit of an indent here where two fingers should be able to fit. If two fingers can't fit here, your head is probably forward. So we need to come from here. Here's the location I was talking about, the top of the throat. It goes back and up, almost like a J, back and up. And then check the two finger space. If you have enough space for three fingers, you have probably dropped your chin too much and you're flattening the cervical spine. So the same reason for needing the curve in the lumbar spine, we need to have it in the cervical spine too. Those are two matching curves because they balance the other curves. The outward curve of the sacrum, which is the back of the pelvis, and the outward curve of the upper back. So we want to try to find the space here. And while you're here with your fingers, just bring your hands, both hands up there, and just do a little, I'm just doing a little pinching like this into that space, that groove, the occipital groove underneath the skull. So you don't realize it, but I'm also had you move your scapula, your shoulder blades. So now we have a little bit more length through the sides of the body than when the arms were down. You know, I'm sneaky that way. I add things in. I truly wish I could see you all and hear you all. I'm not sure what kind of a day you're having in your city or town, but here it's gray. We woke up with fog this morning and it's been raining on and off. And of course, our big dog, Willow, has been spending most of the day outside. I don't know why, but she loves it. And Sawyer, everybody knows Sawyer, he does not want to be outside at all. So then once you've released a little bit here, bring your arms back down. And now let's take the head and turn it to the right. Better if you can close your eyes again and turn it to the right so that we take the eyes out of the picture, because your eyes are connected, the muscles to the eyes are connected to the same place that you had your fingers. Come back into the center and go to the left. We'll go stop at the center, then go to the other side. It's a good place to pause. Already just doing that little release in my neck, I feel so much better. I need to do more yoga, less computer. More Zoom meetings where we do yoga versus just chat with each other. Although that's nice too, I have to say. Okay, we'll do one more on each side. And then come back into the middle and still just for a moment, keep your eyes closed and just tune into how you feel. Your energy, have you settled? You know, there was a lot of kerfuffle at the beginning trying to get sound and video and to hear me. And, you know, now that you've settled into your seat for a few minutes, how do you feel on an energetic level, physical level? How's your breath? Is your breath able to be smooth and even? I don't know if you can hear the dogs, you probably can. That usually means there's a squirrel. The squirrels have discovered that the walnuts are on the ground since the snow has melted. Pretty much all our snow is gone now. And then open your eyes again if they're closed. And then let's come and stand. You can move your props out of the way except for the chair. We're going to keep the chair handy. Actually, not even handy. We're going to use the chair. I'm going to take my blanket off the seat of the chair. You probably don't need your blanket on the seat of the chair when we use it. I just do that because it's a hard chair. So set your chair up at the top of your mat. So whether you're facing me or sideways, I'm just going to go sideways so you can get a better view of what I'm doing. I'm also going to take off my fancy yoga socks. My neighbor, Suzanne, made me. Love those. Okay, and then I'm also going to tie my hair back. Come and face your chair. I know you don't really need a commentary on everything I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to come to the chair and bring your hands to the seat of the chair. Someone the other day said they would rather not use the chair because their chair is too big and clunky. But, well, if you don't have blocks, we got to do something. So can you find a chair from somebody? So holding on to the sides of the chair, you're going to bend your knees. You can see I'm quite a ways from my chair. I'm going to bend my knees, and instead of leaning onto the chair, I want to shift away. So as I shift away, I continue that work of lengthening through the sides of the body. I don't have to go all the way down, but it's possible that you can bring, if your body is that way, you can bring your arms in line with your spine. So now, Deb, if you're doing this, I'm not sure if you have any movement. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure whether you do more of a cat-cow here or more just of an uttanasana, or maybe just an uttanasana yourself on the ground with your hands on the blocks or the floor. So I'm going to let you, because I know you're such a great yogi and inventive, you're going to figure out what you need to do. So just take another few breaths here, lengthening through the sides of the body. My knees are bent and facing forward in the same direction as the center of my ankle and, of course, the base of my second toe. But I'm getting my sit bones to move back and up. Yeah, one more breath here. Wherever you happen to be, maybe it's a little bit higher. And then we'll shift forward and step your right foot forward. Reposition your left foot so your whole left foot can be down and come up. So we'll start Hands off the chair. Let's see if you can balance here. If you need another chair, bring another chair in to help keep your balance. But we're going to bend the front knee. So then front knee comes over the ankle, probably the wrong pants to wear today, and then straighten it. Bend the front knee and straighten it. So we're kind of working on the back leg here, even though the front leg is bending. We're moving and warming up the front leg, but the back leg is getting the stretch. So the calf muscles, the back of the heel, the left heel stays rooted. Then we can add in some arms. We lift up. Again, Deb, one arm if you need to, and come back down and lift up. Once again, find your breath. Find how to do this with breath. Maybe it's the inhale on the way up, but maybe an exhale will work even better. Try it. Exhales will give you a little bit more tone in your abdomen, so you can possibly feel a little bit more stable. Okay, one more time. Knee is bent. Hold it. This is warrior one. If you need to, shoulders are tight and like mine, you're shrugging. Try going a little bit wider with your arms or maybe even bent. 2 more breaths here. This is the stretch for the calf and the back leg. And then exhale, come forward to the seat of the chair, step back again. We'll do that nice wide step again. I'm standing as wide as my mat. I don't want to lean on the chair yet. We'll come to that in a second. I want to lean away from the chair. Move my sit bones back. Maybe this is an option for you. It's sort of somewhere between a downward dog and a forward bend. As much as possible, the front of the body gets long. The head lines up with the spine instead of dropping or lifting. Remember the 2-finger space back here. We want to maintain that. We want to stay spacious around the shoulders. This time as you come up, inhale, step your left foot forward and reposition your right foot. So the whole right foot lands on the floor. Then we've got to get secure, stable. So I'm going to push my feet away from each other to create stability in my legs and come up. Then the same thing, front knee bends. We're moving through the front leg, but we're stretching through the back calf. Instead of lifting arms up, let's take arms out to the sides and go forward. And then as we come back, arms come together, turning the palms up. Palms down, palms up. This is takes a little bit of thinking and coordination, kind of like rubbing your belly and patting your head. I think I mixed it up, didn't I? As long as you're doing the 2 movements, awesome. Maybe mix them up, what it feels like. One more time, we're going to hold, reaching the arms out to the sides, hold, and reach out, turning the palms up. Take 3 breaths. Press back into your back heel. And at the 3rd breath, you can bring your hands down. And one more time on the chair, step your left foot back, long spine. Maybe you go a little bit further, maybe not. You just kind of play with, where do I need to be today? What do I need? What do I need from this practice? I certainly don't need to be shrugging my shoulders because I've been doing that all week on my computer. Well, not just all week, probably for 3 weeks. And then slowly lift up, walk forward. Now we're going to use the chair like we would for table. If you'd rather not use the chair and you're okay coming down onto the floor on hands and knees, you can go ahead and do that. I love using the chair. I really don't see it as a lesser or an easier way. I just think it's just another tool. And sometimes it actually makes it a little bit more challenging. So I'm feeling like I've got more weight onto the chair, and I'm going to start by sinking between my shoulder blades. So I want to do this in a way that's not going to create tension around the base of the neck. It might not be a big movement, and you might be tempted to bend your elbows, but see if you can be aware. Remember at the beginning I said one of the definitions for yoga is just waking up the body, waking up places in the body that have been asleep. So we sink between the shoulder blades more, think more to the middle of the back than to the top part. And the equal movement is to press up even though that one's going to be a little bit easier. We'll start with that. Take 2 more, strengthening the muscles between the shoulder blades, the rhomboids. Usually tight and sore and muscles are weak. They might be overworked and they're probably weak as well. Okay, last one. We're going to go back to neutral and then start pushing into the chair and drop your tailbone down like this. So it's going to be more of a cat. As I drop my tailbone down, I'm pushing the chair away and bowing towards the chair. Then I'll come forward again into that neutral place and sink between the shoulder blades. Let's do that 3 more times in your own pace with your own breath. Oh, that feels really good. As long as we're leaning onto the chair, we're being a little bit more safe with the spine than if we were hanging. And last one. And then we'll come forward again. Now come on up. Here's where it's going to get a little bit more tricky. I hope you're ready. Put your seatbelts on. Again, if you need another chair to help balance you, you can lift up another or bring another chair in. So facing your chair, step over to the left. Do a quarter turn to the right, so you're diagonal to your chair, and walk towards it. Lift your left foot up, and it's going to go near the back of the chair. This is where I usually walk around and look at everybody, but you're on your own here. Then slide forward, left forearm on your left leg, and you can hold on to the back of the chair. If you're lucky, it's a high chair. And we'll just take a moment here, taking the leg out away from the body here and dropping the body more towards the center of the chair. We want to be a little bit longer through the spine, so we'll take a couple of breaths first. Just notice what you feel. Maybe you feel a little stretch through the inner thigh. Maybe you feel a little bit more of a stretch through the back of the hip. You know, everyone's going to feel it slightly differently. It's also possible while you're here to bring your hands to the seat of the chair. But I'd like you to notice that my spine has not rounded. We're not going into this kind of a shape to do this. So if your hands are on the seat of the chair and your back is rounding like this, I'm going to suggest you come back up, particularly if you're feeling a sensation there. So this is an option. We breathe. We keep elongating from the pubic bones all the way up to the collarbones. Back of the neck is long, so we're not going to crank the head back. We want to keep that 2-finger space there. And again, find where you want to send the breath to. Where is the space that you want to fill with breath? Where do you want to create space? And then we'll slowly climb back up. Keep the leg there now. We're going to go into a rotation. So now take your left arm to the inside of your leg. And you got to work your leg and your arm together. I'm going to push my arm against my leg, keeping it open. And at the same time, my leg is going to press into my hand. Bring your hand to your waist, your right hand to your waist. Without twisting your knee, begin to inhale. Turn your belly towards the right. Turn your rib cage towards the right. Turn your shoulders towards the right. As you get further with your shoulders, you're going to have to work the combination, the relationship between your left hand and your left leg a little bit more. Then turn your head over, look over your right shoulder. So the action, the big action, is what's happening between your left hand and your left leg. 2 more breaths here. Then we release the pose the same way we went in, but backwards. So the head first, shoulders next, rib cage, and then belly. Okay, well done. I'm going to say well done because I just know you guys. Okay, step down. I'm going to put my chair at the other side so I can still face you. We're going to do the same thing, but on the right side. So step to the right of the chair. Turn so you're on a diagonal line. And if you did it the other leg first, you can just switch it up. Then come towards the chair and step your right foot up on the chair. So it's in the back corner of my chair. Then I'm going to lean forward. You can reposition your left foot if you want it turn the body long. And then we say, okay, I'm going to use the support here or have my hand on my waist. Maybe my hand can go to the seat of the chair. Maybe I'm not quite, you know, this is too high, but the chair is too low. Maybe if you have a block or a book, or, you know, maybe that's a better height. Look around the room and see what do you have that you can give yourself the height that still gives you the opening through the front of the body, but also the opening through the inner thigh and the back of this hip. And we'll breathe here. Just getting the body to be okay with being in this shape, this deeper hip flexion. And one more breath here. And then we'll slowly come back up as you finish that breath. You can always stay longer if you feel like you like it more, you know, pause it. You can't pause, but you can watch the recording and pause it. Bring your right hand and your right leg together. So I'm actually keeping it open. My tendency is going to be when I start to turn this way, my leg will want to turn in. So I've got to really be disciplined with that leg. Stay there, leg. I also want to drop this sit bone down. The right sit bone needs to come down and face the floor. So now inhale, lift up, and exhale, turn your belly first. So look where your eyes are. Don't let them turn too quickly. Don't let your head turn too quickly. Now turn your rib cage. If you keep your nose in the line with the center of your chest, your eyes in the same plane, then you're going to do this way. You're not going to be turning your head too soon. Then shoulders. And then lastly, your head turns. We still want to keep the right sit bone down. A little bit more effort here now to keep that right leg back because it wants to come forward. We are halfway through the class, people. Well done. Sun hasn't come out, but it's looking brighter here. I shouldn't complain. I'm not complaining. We've had so many sunny days in the last few weeks. It's been awesome. Although I hear Easter weekend is a bit of a snow fest, perhaps, up here. Yay! Turn your head back around, then your shoulders, then your rib cage, then your belly button. Okay, now we got to step down off the chair. And we'll come into Tadasana. So stand on your mat with your feet parallel to each other. Inhale, exhale. Lift your toes up away from the floor until you feel your big toe base drop into the floor. And then create a little bit of an action with your legs as if you're pushing your legs away from each other until you feel more weight in your outer heels, but you have not lost the connection with the big toe base. And the big toe base, I think you all know, but just in case, that's this part right here. So toes are still lifted. What are you putting them down for? Big toe base, outer heel, spread your toes as much as you can, and then lay them down. And sometimes it helps to spread your fingers. We all know this. Psychologically, somehow, it helps. And then feel the energy in your legs from your feet up to your hips. Take your arms forward, or one arm forward. From here, this is a plugging in action, so we're going to draw the shoulders back and then continue to lift up. Urdhva Hastasana, you can go wider. We want to do this without elevating this part of the neck at all, without shrugging. So we want to get the shoulder blades to move away from each other, wrap towards the front of the body, and then they elevate slightly on the outside. We don't need to be lifting on the inside. 2 more breaths like this. Great for the lymph system to drain into the chest up here. We want to do whatever we can to boost the immune system right now. So that's a good part of it. Interlace your fingers now like this. Turn your palms forward and lift them back up. This time we're going to keep a little bit of bend in the elbow. Again, we don't want the shoulders to shrug up, so be aware. I'm not there to watch you and say, hey, hey, hey. So you're going to have to figure it out yourself. The shoulder police. Keep your right hand where it is. Take your left hand down. separate your feet wider and see if you can still find that action in your feet and your legs. And then slide your left hand down, push up with your right hand as you arc over and open up to the right side of the body. Take a moment here. We're going to rotate the spine forward and back. One more. Rotate forward and back. Elbow can be bent.
I don't know if anybody lost you. Yeah, we've all lost the audio. Hi, Claire.
Yeah, the audio is gone. Yeah, the audio is gone. Sometimes there's a way. Sometimes there's a way to put the hand up for people, but so she can.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, hang on. I've got it here. Raise hand.
Yeah, raise your
hand.
Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. If you touch more at the upper right corner, you can raise your hand.
Yeah, she should. If she sees, she should answer it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm just going to follow along, see what I can figure out.
Yeah. We should be able to do it without the.
Yeah.
I've lost her picture now.
Yeah, I've lost it too.
Switch camera, maybe.
Yeah, I tried switching camera. It didn't work either.
On that I don't know
Oh, there we
about.
go. Yeah.
Are you
Back-
there? Oh, there you are.
Was something going on?
Yeah. No.
We lost audio.
Oh,
Can't
let
hear.
let me try.
It's back now.
It's back now.
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you now, Beth.
Okay, somehow my battery pack got turned off.
Oh,
How much did you not hear?
We were
oh,
just
it's just
into
a
the
few
way.
more.
You were just
We did
bending
the
over.
stretching thing. Yes.
On the, we'll go back to that. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. You can hear me? Okay,
Yes, we
my
can.
battery pack just turned off. Must have turned it off when I was moving it. Okay, so we're up here. We're going to lean forward and legs, hips. These are called arms. Arms go up. So it's a lunge position. Take one breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. Stay there. I'm just moving my chair so I'm not backwards to you. Bring your arms down. Now hands to your waist. We're going to twist again. Rotate your belly to the right, chest to the right. Start to lean forward and hook your left elbow over. Then bring your hands together. turn them forward, then stack your elbow on top of your other elbow, press down and lift up, and now turn your head and look up towards the ceiling. So we get a rotation in the spine, at the same time we get the release in the hips. 2 breaths. And then slowly head comes back, arms come back, hands come back. And we want to be very careful. Shift your weight back into your standing leg. Before we step off completely, how much can you straighten your leg here, your right leg? Hands to the waist. If you're feeling a hamstring stretch here, you're staying here. If you're not quite feeling anything, you can start to bow forward. And I'm going to say absolutely bend your leg if you need to. Maybe your foot needs to go to the seat of the chair. Hamstrings are back here, so we start to bow forward. Maybe you reach for the back of the chair again. Maybe your leg is more straight. Maybe you come to the seat of the chair. You know, everybody's different. We got to really pay attention to what our individual needs are. That, again, is really what yoga is all about. Okay, then slowly come forward. Again, slowly back to your knee. Shift your weight to your standing leg and then step down. Come back into Tadasana. Notice and feel. I'm just going to see if I can clear that. Done. I couldn't. Okay, and then we'll go to the other side. So this time the left foot goes up. We walk a little bit further away. We want to stabilize through the feet and legs so that you're stable when you shift your weight to your right foot. This is a bit of a balance pose as we transition. Then you lift up, put to the seat of the chair, then slide it in until it feels solid on the seat. Then we lean forward. We're going to get the calf and back of the leg stretching here as well. We're also going to get the front of the right hip to open up a little bit more. See if it's possible to lean to the back of the chair. If the chair starts tipping like this, we got to put a little bit more weight back in the right foot.
Can you let him out on the balcony?
Breathe. Breathe where you want space. So wherever you feel tightness is where you want to invite the space to come in.
Well, he wants to go out on this other balcony.
Oh, this other.
Yeah.
Wanna go this way?
One more breath here. Then slowly walk your hands back up to your knee, push so you can come stand. Be stable on your standing leg, that's the right leg, and walk your foot out, your left foot out. The sun is now coming out here. Woohoo! So you can be here, you can be here, whatever it is, wherever you need to be balanced, to find. You can have a challenge, but struggle is not what we want. So we start to bow forward. Again, foot can be on the seat of the chair as you bow forward. We want to stay long through the sides of the body, long through the front of the body, hands to the back of the chair, maybe to the seat of the chair. It all depends on your body. If your leg is straight and you're in this much hip flexion, the base of the big toe on the left foot, this part right here, pushes forward. We want to lengthen out through the leg rather than push the knee down. It's the same story it always is. I haven't changed that. We also want to make sure that the standing leg, the right leg, isn't hyperextending, isn't pushing back into the back of the knee. 2 more breaths here. Wherever you need to be to feel the hamstring stretch on that front leg. Then slowly come back up. Bend your knee, standing again on the standing leg. This time, lift your right arm up. We'll do it a slightly different way. Left hand, slide it along your left thigh and hook it into the hip crease here. Inhale, and then exhale, lean forward. Start twisting around your belly button first, then your rib cage, and reach your arms so you hook onto the outside. Stack your hands, turn your fingers forward, stack your elbows, push down and lift up. So we get this sense of rotating through the rib cage. It's going to be a big lift. It's a big movement through the middle of the body. Lean your head back. Watch for signs of pinching or compression or shrugging around your shoulders. One more breath. Doesn't it feel good to move? Feels good to move with others, even though I can't see or hear you. And then come back slowly. Find your balance on your standing leg. Remember what we did with the foot, and then come down, then step down. And we'll come back to Tadasana again at the top of the mat. Notice how you feel. Maybe even close your eyes for a moment. Notice the buzzing energy in your body. Have you wakened any part of you up? What has been sleeping? This is a really incredible time for us to delve into the parts of us that have been sleeping, the parts of us that have not been aware. You know, dive deep into your own shadows and see what's there and bring whatever's in shadow into light. Behavior and movement in the body, restriction. This is the time to do a self-study. It's so great. When else do you have this kind of time? Okay, so now we're going to finish the class. We have just over 10 minutes. I'm going to invite you to come down. So two things you can do. You can sit on the chair and do it all seated. You can lay completely down with whatever props you would like, whatever you have for Shavasana. Or you can, I happen to have 2 blankets here, have one blanket for your head, which I really recommend for the nervous system to have head support over any other. If you only have one blanket, use it for your head. Or if you want to use a pillow there. I'm going to put the blanket on the seat of the chair again just because my chair is cold. So you come down onto the floor. I'll take your time. Karen, no rush. I know you'll get there. Or maybe you can lay on your couch if you want. Then you scoot up pretty close to the chair. You don't have me to help push the chair in, so you're going to have to figure out how to do it yourself. I'm going to get as close as I can, bringing the backs of my knees to the edge of the chair, and then lay down. Adjust your pillow. Adjust your hips. Roll your shoulders back. If you'd prefer your hips a little bit elevated, you can do that. Arms out to the sides. Take a few moments. Take what you need. Take the time you need to get settled. Make adjustments. And then tune back into the feeling, the experience you're having in your body. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Does it feel bubbly? You know, is the energy smooth, soft? Do you need to adjust anything else to be more comfortable? Now tune into your breath. Maybe you want to take a nice long slow breath in and then exhale with a sigh. You don't have to. I love doing that as preparation for letting go in Shavasana. Because it always feels like it lets me release that much deeper into the earth. Again, any adjustments you need to make to feel comfortable, do them now. It's ideal for once you get settled to stay settled and not move, not even go for a scratch, because that's going to disturb your ability to settle. For prana to settle and go where it needs to. And prana is life force energy that comes in through the breath, comes through connections like we're having right now, even though it's, you know, through the internet. But as you tune into your breath, perhaps you can notice here a rise and fall of your belly, similar but different to what you felt when you were sitting at the beginning of the practice. I just want to take you through a little bit of I'll call it a meditation before I let you completely rest in Shavasana. But it has to do with the idea that, you know, these are a bit challenging times for us, and sometimes we can feel quite anxious or even restless because, you know, we're being restricted. We can't do this, we can't do that, we can't plan. And so the word that comes to mind is, can we find a sense of contentment where we are? So I'll read to you this. The dictionary defines contentment as the state of satisfaction with one's possessions, status, or situation. Satisfaction, huh? What the dictionary doesn't say is that contentment is a state we have to bring up from inside ourselves, often through the experience of loss or disappointment or change, or something like this. This is change, probably disappointment. So we have to find it within ourselves. It seems paradoxical that contentment could start with giving yourself permission not to be contented. It sounds kind of funny. But we cannot change our state by resisting or running away from it, any more than we can rid unfulfilled desires just by telling ourselves to give them up. The first step in the journey toward contentment is always to stop and let yourself be fully where you are, right in this moment. Even if you're frustrated, if you're out of sorts, feeling scared or anxious. Usually we're afraid to do this, imagining that we'll end up wallowing in misery. But by accepting the situation, it's very different than self-pity. Unlike wallowing, acceptance lets us relax the inner muscle that keeps trying to control the uncontrollable, and frees us from the terrible stress of pretending that everything is okay when we know it isn't. So moving towards acceptance that will lead to contentment starts with letting yourself be present with what is happening. I'm not talking about right now at this moment, although that is part of the practice right now, but in everything that you do in the days and weeks and maybe months to come. Think of it as a form of investigation. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Let your breath be the anchor you use to keep yourself steady as you begin to investigate your feelings. Now think of something that brings up your feeling of dissatisfaction or discontent, of wanting something you can't have or wanting your situation to be different than it is. Notice how it feels. And see if you can find the tendrils of your own discontentment in your mind and in your body. And as you feel them, say to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to have this experience. Now, if you like, you can ask yourself, what's behind the feeling of frustration? What's inside this sadness? What's underneath the fear? Just plant those questions as seeds and observe what arises for the next few moments. Hear the sound of my voice. Notice if anything has changed, whether your inner landscape has begun to morph. We can't make ourselves feel content. It's an allowing things to be as they are and letting it arise. Practicing being content with what is not a synonym for resignation. Resignation is about despair. Contentment comes from seeing the intrinsic goodness in what is. There are opportunities that are arising daily for us. We won't see them if we don't accept things as they are. Begin to move and wiggle and stretch in any way, shift your breath. You're more than welcome if you're comfortable and you're in the comfort of your own home. You can just stay where you are. You don't have to get up. But if you would like to get up and sit, you can. The practice of contentment is not for wimps. Not only does it require a willingness to accept yourself and your situation, it also demands that you will be willing to change yourself in ways that may be uncomfortable, precisely because they are so freeing in the end. In the long run, they are freeing. So wherever you happen to be, I invite you to bring your palms towards the center of your chest. Or if you don't want to bring your hands up, you're comfortable, you're going to stay there for a while, simply bring your awareness to your chest. And offer a prayer for yourself. May I, and fill in the blank. And then find a prayer that you want to offer all beings everywhere. And start with, may all beings everywhere feel or know or accept things as they are. And then if you're sitting, you can bow your head, acknowledging your heart's desire, letting it go. Bow to each other. Namaste.